stacked. You can whisper behind my back. You can show me how the odds are up against me all day long. But I've been through the fire and come out alive, and there's no more fear in my eyes. Oh, now I'm rising, and you can't bring me down. You can't stop me now. Can't stop me now. My feet have come too far for you to tie them to the ground. You can't stop me now. Can't stop me now. Set my sights stacked. You can whisper behind my back. You can show me how the odds are up against me all day long. But I've been through the fire and come out alive, and there's no more fear in my eyes. Oh, now I'm rising, and you can't bring me down. You can't stop me now. Can't stop me now. My feet have come too far for you to tie them to the ground. You can't stop me now. Can't stop me now. Set my sights on where I'm going at, and turn it back around. You can't stop me now. You can't stop me. All the blood, sweat, and sacrifice. Oh, I paid the dearest price. There no shortcuts here for destiny. I'll take the long way proud. Oh, I know what I've earned, and now it's my turn. Lighting the fuse, let it burn. My time is rising.
Unlimited fam, welcome to the third quarterly mentoring and parenting teen summit. I'm absolutely excited that you're here. You're here wanting to learn, wanting to expand your mind, wanting to support a great cause, and I'm glad that you're here with us. We have an amazing lineup for you guys today. Miss Dr. Ambassador Deanna Cannoli. We have Mr. Rob Shear of Comfort Cases. Oh my goodness, I can't wait for Rob to speak. We have Dr. John DiGuillermo of Foster Care Institute, and then we have Mr. Gail Nelson of Big Brothers and Big Sisters. That's our lineup today. We have just a wealth of experience, a wealth of knowledge, and they want to come and share with you guys. So please get your pens, notepads, silence, everything that you can to make sure that you're getting the most out of this experience, because it's going to be great. I want to lead off a little bit today with mentoring and how important mentoring our youth is, and how you personally, you can get involved. And I know a lot of people, if you're not a parent, you think, well, maybe it's not for me. Maybe it's not my position to mentor my niece, my nephew, my neighbor's kids, the kid that I know lives down the street, and I'm not sure who his parents are or who her parents are, but I can see that they need a little bit of guidance in their life. But I'm not the person. I don't want to get involved. And I want to tell you that you do need to get involved. You should get involved. And there's no qualification other than a big heart, an open heart to get involved with mentoring, to get involved with our young people. That's the only qualification you need. Caring. You have to care. And I know you do care. I know that most of us, a lot of us, have these limiting beliefs. We think that we're not the right person to do ... Or we don't feel intrinsically motivated to give to this organization or that organization. What I ask you today is to just get involved, to get out of your own comfort zone, out of your own mental block, out of your own head. And that's all it is we get in our own head. Make the time to get involved with someone that needs you. I want to talk to you about the power of getting involved. I should be dead or in jail, probably dead, if it weren't for two people that got involved in my life. Got involved, that looked and said, this kid needs me. My CASA, my guardian ad litem, Mr. Ron Barnick, and my martial arts instructor, who was a surrogate father to me, Sensei Otto Johnson. They both saved my life. They both created this person that you see before you. And I certainly wasn't going to be like this. You see this picture here? It says, defy your destiny. I talk a lot about destiny when I do speeches and counsel people. And we're all born into whatever environment we're born into. We're all destined for something. I'm not talking about the destiny that you create. We're just born black, white, Hispanic, Asian. We're just born into the broken family, the single mom, the single dad, the hybrid family, the nuclear family, whatever. We're just born into it. We're just born in Africa or Bangladesh or the United States or here in Greece. We're just born. We had no agency over that. And sometimes people come into one's lives and they shape their destiny for them. And that's what I'm asking you to do, is shape someone's destiny for them. That's it. You just have to have a caring heart. Ron Barnick was a pilot in the Air Force, my CASA, my guardian ad litem. He was a pilot in the Air Force that decided he wanted to be a CASA. CASA is a court-appointed special advocate. And basically, a CASA just goes between the court system and the young person that is in a group home, foster home, juvenile detention, and is kind of their advocate between the court and that young man or woman. And Ron would bring me over to his house and he would show me stuff from all over the world. Little trinkets that he picked up because he's a pilot and he's traveling, and he'd have little things from different places all over the world. And that one thing sparked me to serve 24 years in the Air Force. Why? Because I was so mesmerized by the things that he had in his house and the experiences that he shared about being in Japan, about being in Italy, about traveling the world. So through his experiences that he's sharing and the trinkets and the things that he had around his house and his caring, his loving heart, his involvement, he sparked me to join the Air Force, serve 24 years, and do a lot of great things within the Air Force. Just one person. Just one person. You are that one person for someone out there. Someone that just was born into ... They're born into a broken family with an abusive dad and a drunk mom, and they don't have anyone. You're that one. I guarantee it, there's someone out there that needs your caring heart, that needs you. You have to get involved. We can't go through life comfortable and complacent. Sometimes we need to get out of our comfort zones and to do big things, amazing things, and to change someone's life. Sensei Otto, my martial arts instructor and surrogate father, was a role model for me. The discipline that martial arts has within the structure of martial arts is exactly what I needed. I needed that discipline. I didn't need a stern person in my corner to say, you have to do this, you have to do that, I'm your dad, I'm your mom. I didn't need that. What I needed is the structure of martial arts. You see, martial arts, just like the Air Force, just like Ron, changed my life. I went on to own martial arts schools, to mentor thousands of young people, old people. My oldest student was 65 years old, and he comes to me and he says, wow, Sensei Dave, the things that I'm learning here are amazing. And it's not even the physical stuff. I joined because of the physical stuff. I joined to do the stretching and to, throw people over my shoulder. But wow, there's so much more to it. And I was able to instill that into a 65-year-old man. So from 5 years old to 65 years old, I was able to change people's lives, or at least impact their lives. I was also able to open up a martial arts mentoring program for at-risk youth, where I've been able to impact profoundly kids that their destiny just wasn't great, but through some of my involvement and their dedication to themselves, they've changed their destiny and they're doing well. And I'm super proud of them. I see them all the time. I talk to them and I'm so proud of them. So Sensei Otto, by getting involved, changed my life. So that's my message to you, is to get involved, because you are the one for someone. It just takes you to get off the couch. It takes you to say, you know what, I'm not going to be so busy and do so much over here. I'm going to carve out an hour a week, 2 hours a week, a weekend to spend with someone that needs me. I know that there's some people that don't feel comfortable doing that. They don't think that they're right to do that, to spend time with a young person. I would say you probably are if you have the heart. But if you're like, no, this is not me, I'm not going to go mentor someone, be it my niece, my nephew, my neighbor, volunteering at an organization like Big Brothers and Big Sisters, to which I've volunteered several years at Big Brothers and Big Sisters. If it's not you, At a minimum, I want you to find one of these speakers' organizations and donate today. Donate your money today because it takes money to run these organizations. Big Brothers and Big Sisters wouldn't exist without donors, right? The Foster Care Institute, Comfort Cases. These things are important. So if you cannot personally, I'd rather you personally get involved with a young person's life, but if you cannot, if you will not, you do not want to, please just go to one of the organizations today and donate. Whatever you can afford, if it's $1, if it's $1,000, if it's $100,000, just get involved. That's all I ask. That's all I want to bring to the table today, is to kind of spark that aha moment in your life today, and for you to say, you know what? I've been thinking about getting involved. I've been thinking about the kid down the street that, boy, he's always into trouble, and I think I'm that caring heart for him. I'm that one person for her. So I ask you to please get involved. Without further ado, let me introduce my co-host for today. This young man is absolutely amazing. You're going to be thoroughly impressed, as I have been thoroughly impressed, seeing how passionate and motivated this young man is. So, Julian, come on.
What's up, everyone? So excited, so stoked to be here. Is it just me, or are we signed up for something that could change our lives? Literally, my only advice to you, take notes. Imagine you paid $5,000 to be here, because that's the value you're going to be getting. You're going to be getting knowledge from people who dedicated their lives to helping these kids, to helping young people. And maybe their one aha moment, the one phrase, the one experience, the one piece of knowledge could be what changes your lives. So take notes. Imagine you paid $5,000. If you paid $5,000 to be here, you'd be taking notes like crazy. You wouldn't miss a thing. Imagine that's the value you paid to be here. And that's just how much you're going to get out of this. So without further ado, let's introduce the first speaker. So our first speaker is Mr. Rob Shear. Mr. Rob Shear is the proud father of 5 amazing children from the foster care system who arrived at their home with trash bags. Rob Shear grew up in foster care himself. Rob remembered feeling disposable as a child and carrying a trash bag to his foster home. And he wondered how this could still be happening 30 years later. In 2013, the Shear family set out a mission to eliminate the use of trash bags in the foster care system and provide children entering the system with brand new essential and comfort items. To date, and this blew my mind when I heard this, to date, Comfort Cases has impacted over 150,000 children in the foster care system. Rob is the CEO of Comfort Cases, traveling the country to share his story and advocate for youth in foster care. He published his memoir in 2018, A Forever Family, Fostering Change One Child at a Time. They live on a farm in Darnestown, 2 cats, 2 dogs, a bird, 3 goats, and several chickens and ducks, and a pig named Penelope. Everyone, please welcome to the stage, Mr. Rob Shear.
My name is Rob Shear. I'm the founder of a national nonprofit called Comfort Cases. I'm also a father of 5 of the most amazing kids who we adopted through foster care. All 5 of them are teenagers now. Can you just imagine? You know, I am absolutely humbled that Dave Armstrong chose me for part of the Mentoring and Parenting Teen Summit. You know, it's a summit that I feel that we need to have every single year. And we need to come together to talk about what is it like to parent and mentor teens, especially those who are coming into our foster care system. You know, I remember that very first day when my children arrived. Within a matter of 3 months, 4 children arrived in our home, all 4 of them carrying a trash bag. All 4 of them came into a system because of a choice that someone else made. You know, I remember the day that I walked into foster care, carrying my trash bag, and once again, entering a system because of a choice someone else made. Why do I keep talking about the word choice? because I do believe that our life is full of choices. You know, for me as a kid at the age of 12, the youngest of 10, who really wasn't supposed to amount to anything. See, we all know the statistics that here in the United States that only 54% of kids that are in foster care will actually graduate from high school. That we know that only 11% of these children will actually fill out a college application. And to know that only 3% get a 4-year degree is a failure on our part as a country, as a community. See, it doesn't matter what zip code that you live in. We are all part of one community, and that community is the human race. And children who are in foster care belong to not me. They do not belong to you. They belong to us. And we need to make sure that they understand that. I know when they arrive in our homes that they come with more than just a trash bag. They come with so much that's on their back, whether they have experienced drug addictions from parents, abuse from parents, or whether the fact that they just were neglected from love. Love, you know, that always can be the very first thing that can heal a child. I know when my children arrived in our home, the very first thing I said out of my mouth was, welcome home. Welcome home. You know, in 2019, as I was traveling the country as a public speaker, I actually went to a local high school to give a speech. I really didn't think that there was anything different than all the other times I told the story of the boy who carried a trash bag, the boy as a senior year in high school with no mentor, with no guidance, as 18 years old, became homeless and lived on the streets my entire senior year. I told the story about the choices that I could make. One, give up. That's what most people expect kids in the system to do. Number two, give in. Give in. Become the statistic. Go behind bars. Drop out of school. Get addicted to drugs. Understanding that 70% of the 30,000 children that are exiting out of foster care this year are going to be homeless within 2 years. Or I can give it all I got. And that's what I chose to do. I chose to make sure that my life was not going to end up the way that my community expected me to because I had foster kid in front of my name. You know, that day as I walked into that high school to speak to a group of young kids, I never thought that it would ever change my life as it has again today. A young boy, as he was sitting in the audience, I could tell that he was getting a little emotional. And as the speech stopped and everybody left the auditorium, this one young boy sat there. He walked up to me and he said, "Mr. Scheer, will you sign my book, please?" I said, "Of course, what's your name?" He said, "Alex." I said, "Alex, tell me something about yourself." He says, "I have nothing to tell." I said, "Alex, we all have a story. See, the fact is that each and every child that comes into the system, they have a life story and they need to tell it. And they need you as a parent, as a mentor, to listen." I said, "Alex, every one of us has a story." He said, "No, Mr. Scheer, my story is going to be like yours." He said, "I've been in foster care most of my life. I'm 18 years old. I'm a senior in high school, and I'm going to age out and be homeless just like you were." That absolutely hit me harder than I had ever felt. See, I meet thousands of children all over our country, and never did I have a child say something like that affected me like it did in my heart. You know, I had to go and give another speech, so I handed Alex my business card. I said, "Alex, I want you to call me because we're going to figure this out." I left that school. I went to another school and another school, but I couldn't stop thinking about this young boy who had truly felt that his community had given up on him, the young boy that didn't have a mentor that could guide him to go to college, to make something more than the statistics that we have put on these children. That night when I went home, I told my husband and my other 4 kids about meeting this boy. And my amazing child said to me, "Dad, if Alex calls, let's invite him to our home for dinner." I said, "What a great idea." And sure enough, the next day, Alex called me. I said, "Alex, my children would love to meet you." He said, "Really?" I said, "Yeah." I said, "Why don't you give me your phone number to your foster parents, and I will actually call them and arrange for you to come this weekend for dinner." And that's what I did. On that Saturday, I picked up Alex. I brought him to our farm. I watched him play football with the kids outside. I watched him smile and laugh. And I looked at Reese and I said, "You know, he just needs to be loved. He needs someone to believe in him." Little would I know that less than 3 months later, Alex would move home to his forever family. See, for those 3 months, Reese and I did exactly what parents need to do. We put an interest in Alex. We called him every day and asked him about his homework. We called him and talked about his grades, about what he wanted to do for his future. And then one day he said, "I just want to come and live with you guys." And we made that happen. Alex moved home. Alex excelled like you would not believe. He graduated from high school with a 3.6. You know, I didn't do that. Reese didn't do that. Alex did that. And why? Because we believed in him. Because we knew that he was our future. My son Alex is now a sophomore in college, and we are actually getting ready to sign his adoption papers before he actually turns 21. You know, I don't tell you this story just because I want you to, think, "Oh, look at the Shears and what the Shears did." That's not what this is about. It's about making a difference in a child's life. Each one of us have the opportunity to do that. Maybe we can't all foster, or maybe even the fact that we all cannot adopt. But the one thing that I know that each and every one of us can do, and that is mentor. Mentor. These kids need to know that they're not disposable, they're not invisible, and that they are loved, and they matter, and they're wanted. There are many group homes throughout our country where they put children in there and then they leave them. How awesome would it be if each and every one of us took some time out of our week and just went and mentored? Maybe help them with their homework, help them learn the multiplications, maybe play on the basketball court and throw some hoops with them, or throw a football, or even go for a walk. You would not take away anything from yourself. You would be giving of yourself. I say this quite often. Each and every one of us have the same thing. We're very rich with it. And it's called time. Time. And we all must understand that these children deserve our time. For me as a boy, after I had graduated from high school and I went in the United States Navy and I became a very successful businessman, I only thought that my community didn't care about me, that it was just them teaching me to be me. But my 5 babies behind me, it made me realize that's not true. See, the fact is my community did love me. They just weren't educated about me. And summits like this will help us educate about children that are in foster care, children who need us. See, after you leave the summit today, I want you to do me a favor. I want you to make it a point to talk to people within your community about kids in foster care. See, there's no such thing as a bad child. It's only a kid that needs to be redirected. And these kids deserve to be loved. Remember, I told you, they came into the system because of a choice that someone else made. We have the choice now to make their future bright. We have the choice now to change the wrongs of the past of so many kids within our shattered foster care system. And yes, I say shattered because my son Makai, he reminds me, Daddy, if something's broke, I'll give you the super glue and you'll put it back together. But if it's shattered, we must rebuild it. And how do we start? By doing exactly what we're doing today. Listening to people who have experienced this, listening and understanding that each and every one of us have the ability to bring about change. See, I truly do know this. Each and every one of us are a pebble. We take that pebble, and if we threw it in the water at the same time, could you imagine the wave that it will cause? The wave to let kids in foster care know that we love them. The kids in foster care understand that they are kids just like all other kids. We need you. I need you. I wonder what it would have been like to have a mentor. I wonder what it would have been like to have a true parent. And I do know this. My entire life, the only thing I ever wanted was to be a dad. A dad. Like the dad I never had. And I am proud to say that my kids, who are now 20, 17, 14, 13, and 12, they know one thing. They are the most important things in our lives, and that their future is my future. See, every time you look into the eyes of a child in foster care, you should see one thing, and that's your future. Because if we do not step up today and mentor these kids and show them that they deserve more than what they have been given, I'm sorry, my friends, you will take care of them tomorrow. Because we know the statistics show us that over 65% of our prison inmates were in foster care. We can do better. We can do better as foster parents, as mentors, as community leaders. And by the way, let me explain this to you. Each and every one of you that's watching this, you are a leader. We are all leaders. And as leaders, we do not have the option to sit on the sidelines and watch a game being played. We must get in and play it. So, for my family, the Shears, thank you. Thank you for taking time out of your day to even be at this summit. Next year, I hope that we're all together. I hope that we've all been able to get through this pandemic. But understand something when it comes to a pandemic. Children in foster care, they've been going through a pandemic every day since the day they walked into the system. They don't know what tomorrow will bring, just like you and I don't. They don't know where they're going to be, just like there was a moment where you and I did. Just imagine if you felt that way every day of your life. We can be the change, each and every one of us. So I hope each and every one of you get something out of this summit, because I know I already have. And Dave, thank you for doing exactly what I say quite often. You're leading by example. Take care, everybody.
Wow. Was it just me, or Rob just opened our hearts? It's something I've been taking notes, and something that really catch my eye was Rob says, if we do not step up today to show these kids that they deserve more than they have been given, we will have to take care of them tomorrow. So here's what we want to ask you, dear friends who are with us today at this summit. What can you do to help these kids? Go check out Comfort Cases today and donate to this amazing cause. So for our next lineup of speaker, we have an amazing soul. Our next speaker is Mr. Gail Nelson. And to say that Gail is an amazing soul is an understatement. Just to say a little bit about Gail, Mr. Gail Nelson is the current president and CEO of Big Brothers and Big Sisters of Miami. Gail has dedicated over 27 years towards helping our youth. He has won numerous awards in his pursuit of helping young men and women. Some of his major achievements are Power 250 List South Florida Business Journal, and being recognized as one of South Florida's most powerful professional and business and industry in Legacy Miami magazine. So without further ado, everyone, please welcome Mr. Gail Nelson to the stage.
It is an absolute honor to be here. And I just want to thank you, Dave, for just the opportunity to share, to learn, and to grow. And to all of you that are here today, thank you, thank you, thank you. For those who are already mentoring, keep leading, keep serving, keep mentoring, because at the end of the day, the cost of doing nothing is far too high. As the president and CEO of Big Brothers Big Sisters Miami, I want to first give a big shout out to all the mentors across the country that are serving with Big Brothers Big Sisters and other organizations as well. One of the things I just we are making a big difference. Let me take you back a little bit. The little boy's parents divorced when he was only 2 years old. Growing up in the inner city, so many variables, so many opportunities to go in the opposite direction, in the direction wherewith he wasn't even trained or encouraged. So many negative variables or opportunities. But this little boy's mother continually told him, do your best. Do your best. Academically, this little boy did pretty well. Socially, little boy was well liked. But there was always something missing. On Father's Day, this little boy oftentimes cried because there was this feeling, this innate feeling that something's wrong. Where's my dad? Well, ladies and gentlemen, that little boy was me. Growing up without a dad was traumatic for me. My mother, and God bless my mother, who continually to this day, because I'm her baby boy, she did everything in her power to make sure that I had what I needed and my brother Rick had what he needed. She sacrificed so much for our family. But there was still that void. And that void was filled with mentors. I love how Rob talked about just mentors getting in the way, how Dave talked about mentors getting in the way. Mentors got in my way. And I am the man I am today because of mentorship. Let me say that again. I am the man, the father I am today because of mentorship. Time will not allow me to name every single mentor. But as I think about those who truly just helped shape my life, it begins with a mother and a grandmother. The late Viola Claypool, my grandmother. The strength, the matriarch in our family. My beautiful mother that I affectionately call Cubby, who did what she could, working 2 jobs to keep food on the table. Sacrifice. The late uncle, Deputy Sheriff Gary Claypool, my uncle, who taught me just the respect and discipline. My Uncle Daryl, Notre Dame graduate, who's so, it was just his smoothness and his character. But let me just take it a step further. As we think about mentorship, as we think about what it is we all can do today, not only will I talk to you about my personal journey, as I've shared briefly, but I think back to my high school, my senior year. I did not plan to go to college. Let me say that again. Honor roll, president of the Honor Society, senior class president, but I had no intention of going to college. Why? Because I was thinking about one person and one person only, my mother. I need to get a job and help my mother make ends meet, period. But Mr. James Norris, guidance counselor, said, Gail, here's an application. for a full ride scholarship. I said, thank you, sir, but no, thank you. I need to help my mother. This mentor looked me in my eye. And for those of you that are mentoring, you need to be authentic. You need to be honest. And sometimes you will see things that that little brother, that little sister may not see. He said, just fill it out. And because of my respect for that mentor, I filled out the application. I went to the interview for the scholarship, stood before this panel, totally intimidated. I mean, all these top business people in this huge conference room, and I'm in the hot seat. And they asked one, and all the basic questions they asked me, academically, socially, athletically, I answered those questions with the greatest of ease. But then they hit me with the one I was not prepared for. They said, who do you love the most? And I started crying like a baby, lost all cool. And I said, behind the tears, my mom. And I don't even know if I was even coherent, but after I said my mom, I thought about all that she has done, all that she gave up to make sure her baby boy had what he needed. They said, thank you. And that was the end of the interview. Fast forward, I get home. And who's there to meet me? My mother. She said, they called me. I said, I know. I blew it. She said, no, you got the scholarship. James Norris, thank you for being a mentor. Thank you for seeing things I could not see. And then when I think about as I move into my professional career, I went on to not only get the bachelor's and the master's degree, but then to start working in a juvenile justice boarding school. I met my dad when I was 18 years old. I moved to Miami, Florida, and began working at this school. So the void was being filled, rebuild my relationship with my dad, but also help build the lives of others. And so as I saw these boys coming in, most of whom were from rival gangs here in Miami, most of whom had dropped out of school. And here they are. I was hired as the first teacher. And I see these GED prep books in the middle of a table and these boys sitting around with no interest in education. So mentors, teachers, we got to think outside the box sometimes. So I said, does anyone have a basketball? They all looked up with excitement. Little did they know. Took them to the basketball court. They're still excited. Little did they know. See, mentoring requires strategy. Mentoring requires vision. And I said, okay, who wants the ball? They all raised their hand. I said, no, whoever gets the ball, I need 10 free throws, but I want it as a fraction, a percent, and a decimal. So now all of a sudden, life meets mathematics. Education meets desire. And those young men thrived. Rival gangs, but yet they have some love, some consistency, discipline, and structure. And when I asked these young men, why did you join a gang? The number one answer was family. You heard what Rob said a few minutes ago. These kids wanted family. Who doesn't? They wanted structure. Who doesn't need structure? They would tell me that I would join this gang because somebody has my back. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we all need someone to have our back. So we created a positive normative culture. A norm is an expected behavior. You will say yes, no, and excuse me. You will go to every single class. We're going to get you up at 5 a.m. It was a boarding school, mind you. 5 a.m. You're going to bed at 9 p.m. Structure, love, consistency. See, that's what mentorship is all about. A mentor is a trusted friend and counsel. We provided that to these young men who went into the system. Do not tell me that mentoring is just nice. It is necessary. And so as I transition to the biggest transition of my life professionally, I wanted to do something to prevent kids from going into the system. Yes, we helped those young men and young ladies that were in the foster care system. They had faced so many adverse childhood experiences, ACEs as they are called. But we provided those protective factors, that consistency of a mentor, and we watched these kids blossom. But in 2006, I had the pleasure of joining Big Brothers, Big Sisters of Miami. And to all my Big Brothers, Big Sisters colleagues who are with us today, thank you for what you are doing. You see, social justice In 2021, we need to focus on humanity now more than ever. And one thing I do know, the cost of incarcerating one child in the state of Florida is $80,000. The cost of mentoring one child annually is $1,500. It makes good fiscal sense or financial sense, and it makes good social, emotional sense to mentor. And so now at Big Brothers Big Sisters, globally, we think about that our vision is all youth can achieve their full potential. We create and support one-to-one mentoring relationships that ignite the power and promise of our youth. What are the results? The results are abundantly clear. We are a social justice organization at our core. We were founded in 1904 by a court clerk who saw the need for an innovative alternative to kids going into the juvenile justice system. So I did it backwards, if you will, quote unquote. I started working in juvenile justice and I saw these kids didn't need to be fixed. These kids needed structure, family, support, mentorship. So I left the juvenile justice system and now have the pleasure of leading an incredible team, working with incredible colleagues to make sure that our kids have what they need. So as I think about the void in my life as a child, I cried looking for my dad. But I met my dad finally in an airport in San Francisco. I will never forget. I'm looking around with these thousands of people in SFO, San Francisco International Airport. I said, "Is that my dad? Oh, I hope he's not my dad." And then there he was. Boom. A little boy's desire, a little boy's yearning for a father. There are kids who just want that consistency. My dad passed away about 12 years ago. I'm glad I had a chance to meet him. But I'm the father I am today because of who he wasn't, what he failed to do based on his choice. But you can choose to be a mentor. You can choose to be a big brother or big sister, wherever you may live, and recognize that you're going to bring a smile to someone's face. Because, ladies and gentlemen, mentoring is not just nice. Mentoring is necessary. I'm so privileged to be here, and I'm looking forward to you becoming that constant, that trusted friend and counsel in someone's life. Thank you.
Wow. Just wow. I mean, Shawana, I hope I didn't mess up your name. Shawana, I saw in one of your comments, you said the cost of doing nothing is way too high. Something Mr. Gail Nelson said during his presentation. Thank you so much, Gail, for lighting it up. We felt it. We felt it. And here's what everyone needs to know. Big Brothers and Big Sisters is an incredible organization that is helping young men and women all over the United States. So here's what I want to ask you. Who else felt it when Mr. Gail said the number one reason why young folks join gangs? Family. They got my back. So what can you do to help? What can you do to help those young folks to avoid these traps, to avoid these vicious life environments? Consider getting involved as a big brother, big sister, or donating towards that great cause. So our next lineup, our next speaker is United Nations Ambassador Dr. Diana Kennelly. Her Excellency Ambassador Dr. Diana Kennelly serves as a United States ambassador within the UN ECOSOC and the UN International Consulting Cabinet. In her current assignment for 2021, she serves as Global Vice President for Leadership Education, championing the UN 2030 Agenda in the Decade of Action. Dr. Diana Kennelly focuses her work on developing global leaders across the 9 spheres of influence to transform their leadership strategies through her leadership development and coaching program called the Leadership Measure. She is also an executive director at the John Maxwell team and serves on its President Advisory Council. Everyone, please, without further ado, let's give an amazing welcome to Dr. Kennelly.
Thank you so much. I hope my sound is much better now. Mr. Rob, what an amazing point of view that you brought across, just letting us hear what it's like from your life. and just amazing second session with Mr. Nelson. Thank you so much for reminding us that mentoring and mentorship is not just nice, it is necessary. Dave, thank you so much for inviting me on here. It is truly an amazing time we're in right now. And there is no one that is so key in our lives right now than young people and youth. And so I want us to go back to, I think sometimes we tend to not remember what it was like when we were young. So if you're joining us, welcome. And if you can, just type in what is the most profound memory you have about being a teenager. And if you're a parent here, someone who leads young people, what is the most memorable part of the work that you do? I think something I want to take us through is, let's think back to some of the life-defining moments that we have had, right? So number one, life-defining moments, if I can just walk them through you, look like this. Think about what are some of the chains or the lids that I allow to hold me back. What are some of the chains and the lids that I allow to hold me back? And number two, what are some of the opportunities I have missed as a result of these chains and these lids? So what have I missed out on? Number three is, let's take a moment to really consider what is our personal value inventory. And this is, it doesn't matter how old you are, because I want us to begin to remember that we all come from the same place, right? So from your perspective, what do you see when you look in the mirror? And what do you believe to be true? And out of this, I want us to write down 3 I ams. So it could be I am worthy, I am smart, I am grateful, I am hopeful. And number 4, personal value inventory. From my perspective, what do others value or see in me? Because it is so key not to just think about what you do, who you are, and the value that you bring, but also taking a moment to recognize what is it that is in me that others value or see in me, right? Clear direction is so key when we are working in our own lives and even when we are working with the youth. And so I'm going to be talking to us as one race, one humanity, whether you're youth or not, right? So your passion, the reason you are here is incomplete without a clear sense of direction. The reason you're here is incomplete without a clear sense of direction. So why do you need direction? Direction shows you the how and how you are going to get there. Direction also shows you what it's going to take step by step. Clear direction will give you good guidance and will include the time of arrival, a roundabout, and the path towards that arrival point. So clear direction is so key. Many times we go through this, right? Fear of missing out. But here's what I want to remind you as a young person, as a parent, as anyone who gets the wonderful time to lead youth, right? Be willing to go through the process. So you want to get somewhere. the way you are supposed to get there. You want to get somewhere because the way you are supposed to get there. So getting clear direction on how many turns is it going to take to get to where you need to get to. And always proceed forward with absolute care. So sometimes you may want to literally fast track into where you're supposed to be, but sometimes where you're supposed to be might not be ready for something you have not taken the time to develop and be ready for. Right? Sometimes where you want to get to might not be ready for what you have not taken the time to develop or prepare yourself for. So a key question here is, what do you need to have ready? What do you need to have ready for this emerging amazing future that you're looking forward to? Right? And we always ask this question of young people, of youth, of teens, are you ready to lead? And I want to say this to every young person listening: do not wait for permission to lead. Figure out what you are passionate about. Get a clear direction of how you are going to get there and what you need to do to get ready. Then ask yourself, have you done the work to develop yourself to be able to function at the level you are getting ready to step into? Have you done the work to develop yourself to function at the level you're getting ready to step into? So is your mindset in the right place? Is your community ready? Is your country ready? Is your image ready? Is your brand ready? I don't get to lead where I am without being in an environment that literally makes me think every day, how am I leading myself every day? What am I doing to develop myself? So I am in an environment where I have the opportunity to practice leadership, which then has literally prepared me to lead at the global level. And the second thing, and the most important thing, is within this environment, I have had amazing mentors and mentoring. So, are you ready to lead? Absolutely. Now, let's get you in an amazing plan on what it's going to take to get you to where you need to be. Right? It is so key to also keep in mind, what are the words we are using? What are the words we are saying? What are the words we are speaking? Because definitions are the heart of the matter. So what exactly are you saying? There is a difference between what is said and what is being heard. So define exactly what is expected. What is expected of you? How much time will it take? Number one, how much time will it take? Number two, when will we deliver on the expectation set? And number three, what is the level of investment required? Because there is always going to be an investment that comes with every level of your development. Right? It is better to get it right. It is better to slow down and get it right than to move so fast and end up in a place you are unprepared and do not belong. So number one, are you able to communicate at the level of where you are going to? Two, what does communicating at the global level look like? Every room you are invited into has a language. Do you know what that language is? We have to remember that right now, every teen, every youth, every young life is being literally leveraged to lead at the global level. So it is better to get it right. Slow down. Taking your time isn't a bad thing, because sometimes in your delay, you gain wisdom, you gain the experience required. You can literally develop and grow and get to be that that man, woman that you need to be for that place that you need to get to. It is better to get it right. So build and develop an environment around you that is designed for where you are going next. Each one of us can do this. I really like this definition of leadership by Brené Brown. And it's from her book, Dare to Lead. This is what Brené Brown says. A leader is anyone who takes responsibility for finding the potential in people and processes, and who has the courage to develop that potential. A leader is anyone who takes responsibility for finding the potential in people and processes, and who has the courage to develop that potential. So you had Dr. Rob and Mr. Nelson say, anybody can lead. Anybody can lead. But there also comes behind all of that what we call the courage to lead and the responsibility to lead. The global leadership challenge, if you like, is this. We have lost sight of our core values. We have lost sight of our core values. With our core values, there is a core message, there is a core mission, and behind all of that are lives that are absolutely going to be literally transformed for every absolute good. And when we think about this, this is really about developing the person of character within you. So core values, good values, is a personal value system. So what are the things that you are not willing to negotiate on? What lines will you not go past? And what are you about? Who are you? Who are you becoming? When you determine your values, you have already decided what you will do and what you will not do. So what must you do to put yourself in better positions to manage your choices and decisions and follow through with them? You see, the essence of leadership is this: doing the right thing even when you don't want to do it, and not doing the wrong thing even when you want to do it. August 12th of every year is the UN International Youth Day. And I want to share with you a couple of things that we learned from this year's Youth Day 2021. The first thing is that young lives or young individuals are driving revolutionary change in their communities. And there are two ways that they're doing this. They're doing this through innovative new ideas, and two, solutions to the things that we are complaining about. You see, it is so easy to complain about what is not going right. The second thing we're seeing from the youth of today is that they make up the largest generation in our world today at 1.8 billion. And They have an opportunity to be the largest driving force that can create meaningful change towards a bright future. The third thing that we know about the youth today is this, that youth are the largest generation of change makers and the most interconnected. They are making amazing contribution to the resilience of our communities through innovative solutions towards social progress and political change. That's why we cannot afford to exclude them from joining us at the leadership table. We have got to make room for them. Something else we are learning about youth today in 2021 is that we have seen them at the front lines of developing new solutions in the most difficult times and becoming pillars of our communities, reminding us that progress and solutions must not end even with unlimited resources. What the youth of today are also showing us is that in this global pandemic, their resilience to cope with tragedy, loss of employment, and even the disruption to their learning experience, they still have an opportunity to lead the way and safeguard the future. Innovation will only become more relevant as we build back better over the next 10 years. We must engage our youth as equal partners. So let us commit to guarantee young people a seat at the table as we build a world that is inclusive, fair, and fit for the future development for all. And as we look at the youth, as we look at parents, as we look at our world today, the value of relationships is so key. The value of partnerships is so key. Number one, who you spend time with matters. How you team up with others matters. And your dream should and must require a team. So build those relationships. And in a world of possibilities, the formula for partnership is not addition, but multiplication. Because one is too small a number to build anything. We need to begin to build exponentially. So let us multiply the work that we do. Mentoring is the delicate balance of not requiring or of not creating someone in your own image, but giving them the opportunity to create themselves. That is what mentoring is. Mentoring is not me wanting you to become like me, but me wanting to be a part of your life in such a way that it will give you the best opportunity to create yourself. So what is mentorship? Mentorship is a mutual relationship. So the mentor has a part to play and the mentee has a part to play. So as a mentee, number one, discipline and giving back will expose you to experiences in time that you could not pay for. Number two, as a mentee, know what you want to achieve from the relationship and commit to it. What about the mentor? The role is to provide foresight. Number one. Number two is to help eliminate any errors that come from a lack of experience. And that brings me to the end. Thank you so much for listening. And I wish you all the best and look forward to the work that you're going to continue to do. And as part of the youth, become part of some of the things we're doing at the United Nations. So, August the 12th every year is International Youth Day. Be a part of that. And coming up in on October 11th is the International Day of the Girl Child. Be a part of that. And let us continue to talk about this, because this dialogue is an intergenerational dialogue. Thank you so much. Over back to you.
Wow. Just Dr. Canoli, thank you so much. Thank you for reminding all of us that everyone can be leaders. All that we have to do is step up and assume the role. So everyone, please take the time to visit Dr. Canoli's website. The address is going to be located at www.summitevents.world. So if you didn't catch all of that, it's going to be dropped down in the chat, so you're going to be able to catch it and visit Dr. Canoli's website at the address that we're going to put down below in the chat. Again, www.summitevents.world, and reach out to her if you think that she can help you and your leadership skills. So next up, we have Dr. John DeGarmo. Dr. John DeGarmo is an international speaker, international expert in parenting and foster care, and a TEDx Talk presenter. He has appeared on CNN, HLN, Good Morning America, ABC, CBS, NBC, Fox, and elsewhere. He is an international consultant to legal firms and foster care agencies, as well as empowerment and transformational speaker and trainer on many topics about the foster care system. He is the author of several books, including Fostering Love, One Foster Parent's Journey, and writes for several publications. Everyone, please give our undivided attention to Dr. DeGarmo.
Oh, hey there. Okay, unmute. All right. Hey, Dr. John DeGarmo here at the Foster Care Institute. I want to say thank you today for allowing me to be part of this fantastic conference. We've had some wonderful speakers here, and I'm really honored to be part of this conference and be part of the speakers. So I want to say thank you to them, and thank you also for you for joining this conference. You know, we're living in a day and age right now where children are really under attack. They're attacked from so many different things. And in particular, the last 18 months or so, we've seen tremendous attack on children. And I'm not talking about COVID or the pandemic. I'm talking about what's happened to children's mental health as we have placed children inside their homes. We have placed children in danger. Before COVID, there were 5 million children in the United States alone, just the United States alone. 5 million children experienced or witnessed domestic violence in their own home. We had 500,000 children in the foster care system. We had 300,000 children victims of human trafficking in the United States. Since COVID, we've seen those numbers go up as children have been home many times with their abuser. Child abuse has increased. We've seen those parents who've also been under the stress of jobs and illnesses and whatever it might be, and some of those parents have taken it out on their kids. We have seen child abuse, and we've seen attempts on teenage suicide rise 51%. Shocking and disturbing number. We have seen children as young as 4 and 5 years of age on antidepressants now because they're told, don't hug mommy, daddy, don't hug grandma, you could kill them. We're going to see an increase of these mental health issues for years to come. I have been far more concerned about the mental health aspects for children than of any virus. And we're seeing what's happened. We're seeing what's happening now. Hey, I never set out to be a foster parent. It was never on my agenda. I have a different story than Rob, my dear friend Rob, and I appreciate him sharing part of his personal story here. I had those myths and misconceptions about foster care. I believed that the kids were bad kids. I believed the foster parents were weird people. Here's the truth. The children are victims of abuse, victims of neglect, victims of abandonment. Foster parents, yeah, a little bit weird because we got to be weird to do what we do. When you bring children in trauma who have experienced anxiety and trauma into your homes, it can be it can be difficult. Let me tell you, I've had the blessing of having over 60 children come through my home and my family. I've had as many as, get this, as many as 11 in my house at the same time, which I think should be illegal in all 50 states. Was it exhausting? Oh my goodness, was it ever exhausting? But make no mistake, every child has made me a better person in some way. Every child has taught me something in some fashion. I'm a better parent. I'm a better husband. I'm a better member of society for every child that's come to live in my home. And in my home, there's no labels. There's no foster. There's no adoptive. There's no biological child. These are my children. They're members of my family, and I give them what they need. I believe that all children need three things: stability, structure and consistency, and unconditional love. Sadly, so many children don't get any of those things. As a foster parent, I have seen so many children come into my home who have never had a kind word said to them and never had a loving word said to them. I think back to a young girl who came to our house, 18 months of age. 18 months of age, and the only word she knew was shut up. Shut up. In our house, that's a no-no. We don't say that word in our house. If you had nothing nice to say, don't say anything at all, right? Well, imagine the environment she was in if the only word she knew was shut up. What was she hearing on a daily basis? How about the 4 and 5-year-old boys that came to my house and basically the only word they knew was the N-word? Again, what kind of environment were they in? These children, 18 months and 4 years old, they don't know what these words mean. They're just repeating what they hear. You know, I think about how we, you and I, can help children in some way without even really knowing it. I think back to the time we had placed into our home a 17-year-old girl. Let me give you a little bit of background about her story, okay? When she was 9, her parents were killed in Romania. So a family, I believe in New York, adopted her and said, "We'll bring you structure, we'll teach you English, we will love you unconditionally." And then for 6 months, she was sexually abused. And then they did something at the time I had never heard of. They unadopted her, if you will. They gave her back to the system. Another family from Pennsylvania said, "Well, hey, we'll be your favorite family. We'll teach you English. We'll love you forever." And for 1 year, they abused her. And then when they were done, they traded her back in. They gave her up to the state for another child that unadopted her. And then she was adopted by a family in Georgia. She's 11 at this point, and she run to another state. And she said, she was told, "Okay, we'll love you forever. We'll teach you English. We'll be your forever family." And then for the next 6 years, they physically, sexually, emotionally abused her. And then when she was 17 years of age, driving to school, her adoptive mother dragged her out of the car, gave her child welfare, and said, "You're no longer part of our family." And then she came to live with me. And as you can imagine, she had tremendous issues of anxiety, tremendous issues of attachment, tremendous issues of trust. Who could she trust? No one. At the time, my wife and I were going through the process of adopting our first child. We've adopted 3. We've had 4 failed adoptions in some fashion. Going through the process of adopting our first child. I told my wife, you know what? Here's a 17-year-old girl. Where will she go when she ages out or transitions out of foster care? The statistics are grim. 55%, when they leave the foster care system, will quit school. 65% will end up incarcerated. 75% will end up homeless. And it just repeats itself. The cycle starts over and over again. So I asked my wife this. I said, you know what? We need to consider adopting her. Where will she go at Thanksgiving and Christmas? Who will she call on a rainy night when her tire is flat? Who will bring her soup when she is sick? Who will sing her happy birthday on her birthday? We need to be her forever family. So we did something at the time that I thought was good, but looking back on upon reflection, it was a tremendous mistake. We offered to adopt her. That was the worst thing we could do. Why? 3 families had adopted her, 3 families had abused her, 3 families had given her back. Adoption to her meant abandonment. Adoption to her meant abuse of all kinds. She grudgingly said yes to the adoption. The day the adoption process would start, months later for her, she went to the school where she was at. She got in a fight purposefully and arrested and placed in jail. Now, what she was doing was she was sabotaging the adoption process. Of course, she should have. Survival. She was doing it for survival. Again, adoption to her meant abuse, neglect, abandonment. So we brought her back to the house, and things went downhill from there. My wife and I said, you know what? We love you forever. We want you to be part of our family, but you have to abide by our family values, morals, and rules instead of our refrigerator, TV, swimming pool. Then a few days later, she did some things that were so harmful for our family that we were forced to have her removed from our home. Now, I knew up here that we were doing the right thing because we had 3 very small children, actually four small children, were watching everything that she was doing, and it was not a good outcome. So we knew at the time that our home was not the best environment for her at that time. So we placed her in a group home. I felt so much guilt for years, let me tell you. The last thing she said to me was, you talk about unconditional love, but you don't know what love is. And she spat in my face. Those words just cut here. We tried calling her. We visited her. She wanted nothing to do with us. Time passed. She accepted our phone calls. She accepted our letters. We went out to dinner together. She came to our house to visit on weekends. I helped her get enrolled in college. We went to her college graduation. We helped her find a place to live when she was older. Now, she's doing tremendous. She's a caseworker for an agency. She has 2 small children. She's in a beautiful relationship with a fantastic guy. I couldn't ask better for her. Her 2 children were grandparents too. Let me tell you why that happened. It's because my wife and I did not give up on her. We didn't give up on her. Everybody else had. We remained a constant, loving, encouraging voice for her. We didn't turn our backs on her when she turned her back on us. When she tried to push us away, to test us, so to speak, when she tried to push us away because of the hurt that she was feeling and the pain that she was experiencing, we wouldn't accept it. We continued to love her. We continued to reach out to her. We continued to support her. You know, there's so many children today who experience an environment of harshness, of abuse, physical, sexual, verbal abuse, have never had any loving words said to them. And they need someone like you to reach out and say, hey, I'll help you. Now, I understand the truth. Not everybody can be a foster parent. I get it. Let me tell you, it's the hardest thing I've done. Most rewarding thing I've done, absolutely, by all means, but the hardest thing I've done. I do recognize at the same time this. Everybody, every one of us, you and I, can all help a child in foster care or a child in crisis in some way. As I told you earlier, there's roughly 500,000 children in today's foster care system. There are 300,000 children victims of human trafficking. That's rising. There are 5 million children rising victims of domestic violence in their own homes. That means this. You don't have to travel far to find a mission field for you. I've gone to Mexico. My kids have gone to Honduras and Nicaragua. Fantastic experiences, and I grew from those mission fields. But there's a mission field in your community. There's a mission field in your backyard. There's a mission field within a mile of your house. There's a child right now who's hoping, maybe even praying, that somebody like you will take the time to give them an encouraging word, to take the time to maybe kiss that bruise on their elbow, maybe take the time to help them with schoolwork, take the time to protect them from abuse, take the time to offer what they need more than anything else: unconditional love. So many children are not receiving it. You know what they're doing? They're going online looking for it. And that's where the sexual predators recognize it. And they're waiting there for them, luring them in with false hopes and false promises. They become victims of human trafficking. That's what's happened this past 18 months. We've seen the rise of child abuse. We've seen the rise of human trafficking because so many kids are spending time online looking for someone to love them instead of someone in their own home giving them time, giving them an encouraging word, giving that unconditional love. So whether you can be a foster parent or whether you can help in some way, here's a couple things that you can do perhaps in your own community. Perhaps you could donate backpacks filled with hygiene items to your local foster care agency. Maybe you can gather up a bag filled with school supplies. Maybe you can help your local foster care agency or child welfare program by donating brand new gifts for the holiday season. Maybe there's a foster adoptive family in your home, in your town is really struggling. Maybe they need some meals or resources. Maybe you could be a mentor or a tutor to a child at the school near you. Maybe if you own your own business, you could hire a young 15 or 16 or 17-year-old child who's in the foster care system, or maybe one who's struggling in general. You could hire them and teach them important work skills, social skills, and living skills. These are just a few of the many ways that you can help. Now, I'm going to tell you a story you've probably heard a dozen times, maybe 100 times, but I think it's important for today. So there's a father and a son. They're walking along the beach after a horrific storm. I mean, just tremendous thunderstorm the night before. And on this beach, there's littered from one end of the beach to the end of the beach, thousands upon thousands of starfish. So many out there. The sun is just starting to come up. The beach is starting to heat up, and those starfish, there's no way they're going to survive. The boy begins to pick up starfish. He's throwing them in the ocean as far as he can. He bends down to pick up another one, throws in the ocean as far as he can. He gets another starfish and throws it in the ocean as far as he can. This is going on for some time, and the father's just watching. After a while, the father says, "Son, what are you doing? Look at all these starfish. You can't help them all. It doesn't matter." The son thought about it for a minute. He then bent back down, picked another starfish, and threw it back in the ocean. He says, "It matters for that one." So I'm going to leave you with this thought. I can't change the world. Rob can't change the world. Dave can't change the world. The other speakers in this program can't change the world. But when you care, when you take time, when you give of yourself and unconditional love to a child in crisis where you live, their world is changed. Again, we can't change the world. When we help those children, their world is changed. And that's how we bring healing and hope to children who are desperately craving it right this very moment as you and I have this discussion. So I ask you, consider today, consider now how you can help a child where you live before it's too late for that one. Because as you and I talk, there's a child praying right now for someone like you.
Wow. There's a child praying for someone like you. This is just the truth. Just the truth. Thank you, Dr. DiGuillermo. Thank you, Rob Scheer. Thank you, Mr. Nelson. Thank you, Dr. Canoli. I really appreciate everybody being here. I really appreciate everyone in the chat, everyone that's watching, everyone involved. I also really appreciate Julian, who is our co-host, who is our announcer, who is an amazing young man that I met recently. And I'm going to tell you a quick story. Recently, and unfortunately, my co-host that was supposed to be co-hosting with me today couldn't do it. And I said, oh boy, okay, I'll figure it out. And as Julian and I were speaking about something something different, I said, hey, do you want to co-host an event tomorrow? And he says, well, I got some stuff going on, but this is an amazing event. I really believe in you. I believe in the summit and what you are trying to do, what we are collectively doing, and I'm going to make it work. And he killed it today. Not only that, I'm going to bring to you a speech that I asked him to prepare for us because I thought it was seriously impactful and important. So check this speech out of Julian's.
Struggles with depression. If you do, I have a message for you that might just be what helps you out. So to introduce myself briefly, my name is Julian. I've been coaching teenagers for the past 7-8 years now. And what I've come to realize, what I've come to see as a fact is that the quality of their lives, the quality of the teenagers' lives, and this is for all of us. This is for all of us. But in this case, teenagers, the quality of their lives is nothing but the quality of their habitual emotions. What does that mean? The quality of their habitual emotions. Well, simply to say that if a teenager, their habitual emotion, their day-to-day emotions are pissed off and frustrated, then their lives are going to be pissed off and frustrated. It doesn't matter just how much you try to do as a parent, just how much you try to protect the environment, protect who has influence over them. If their habitual emotions are pissed off and frustrated, that's going to translate into their lives. Same thing for depression. If your teenager's habitual emotions are depressed, anxious, sad, it doesn't matter how much you try to do for them. As much as you can try, if those are their habitual emotions, that translates into their lives. And I'm not against taking meds. Sometimes medication is important. Sometimes it's necessary to be under those subscriptions. But the truth is, it's not the long-term fix. The truth is, it's not what's going to get you out of a depression. It's like putting a Band-Aid over a wound that needs stitches. The key to attacking, the key to conquering depression is we have to go to the root cause. We have to go to the core reason why it happened in the first place. Am I making sense? I'll give you an example. So many people, countless people, have the goal often to lose the weight. Sometimes before summer, before at the beginning of the new year. Many people have the goal to lose weight. And many do. For many months, they put off the weight. 10, 15, 20 pounds sometimes. But then what happens? After a few months, sometimes maybe after a few weeks, what happens? They gain back the weight. Why? Because in that moment, they went back to their old habits. They went back to their old way of eating, their old way of living their lives. So it was a short-term fix that didn't fix the long-term issue. Whereas if we take the example of someone who's committed, someone who makes a decision to lose the weight, to lose 20, 15, 30 pounds, and keeps it off for 10 years, it's not chance. It's not luck. They're doing something different. And if you think about it, you can agree to this. If we relate it back to the issue of depression, if you were to think you yourselves, we all come from different backgrounds, we all come from different environment, but if you were to think yourselves in that moment, a moment where you felt at your happiest, a magical moment, a moment where you felt connected, where you felt alive, where you felt surrounded with the people you love, doing what you feel, doing what you love. In that moment, it wasn't luck. What you felt, the aliveness, the passion, the fulfillment that you felt in that moment, it wasn't luck. It wasn't chance. In that moment, you were in a different mindset. You were in a different headspace. You had a different focus that made things take a different angle. So if I were to sum up all the years of experience that I have as a coach, coaching teenagers, if I were to give you 2 clues, 2 keys, 2 fundamentals blocks that can help your teenager escape depression and never go back to it again. Here they are. Number 1, help your teenager to understand that what they focus on is what they will feel. Why is that? Because when we focus on something, we narrow out everything else. When we focus on an emotion, when we try to find the reason why we feel a certain way, we're going to find reasons to it. Why do I feel sad? Because this and this happened. Think about it. If we focus on what we can't control instead of what we control, if we focus on what we have instead of what we don't have, if we focus on the past, on our regrets, if we focus on the moments that we haven't lived, help your teenager to change the focus. Help your teenager to change the focus towards something that brings aliveness. There's always something wrong. What's wrong is always there, but so is what's right. Number 2, help your teenager to stack the magical moments of life. The moments where they felt alive, the moments where they felt grateful, the moments that they have that they will cherish. The moments that when they play back, when they focus on them, they will feel grateful. They'll feel loved. They'll feel like they belong, like they are worthy. And even better, help your teenager to create those moments. Help your teenager to create the moments where they feel alive, where they feel connected, where they feel loved, where they feel like they are enough. Here's my invitation to you, dear parents. Don't give up. Your teenagers, they experience these negative emotions, anxiety, depression, all because of their day-to-day habitual emotions. But if you help them to change that, if you help them to change their focus, to stack the magical moments of life, then you can help them improve their habitual day-to-day emotion. You can improve the quality of their lives. This isn't me trying to sell you anything. This is me trying to reach out a message to you so that you can know that you're not alone. That you can know that the tools, the strategies for you to help your teenagers are at your reach. Apply them each and every day, and you will see how you can help your teenager change their lives.
Wow. Thank you, Julian. There's always something wrong, but there's always something right. That really resonated with me, you guys. Look, we came here today. There's over 100 years of knowledge right here, right now, today. And yes, we're all old, except for Julian, who is 19. So besides being old, besides having a lot of experience, we've all been through a lot. And we're all in the business of helping others not go through what we've gone through. That's exactly what we're doing. That's exactly why this summit is even in existence. That's why all of the speakers here today have such a big why in their lives. They want to make sure that you don't go through what they've gone through. They want to make sure that you are able to impact that young man or that young woman so they don't have to go through what we've gone through. It's as simple as that. It really is as simple as that. That's why we have such big hearts. That's why we do what we do. It's certainly not the money. It's certainly not the fame, the recognition, or anything else. It's because we love you and we know what you can do for others. Even if you don't know what you can do for others, we understand how impactful, how meaningful, how life-changing you could be. My mom died when I was 13 years old. This is after me being in and out of group homes, foster homes, and juvenile detention centers from about 9. I shot my stepfather when I was about 12. I didn't kill him. My first arrest was when I was 11 years old. 11 years old for armed robbery. When I say that people that got involved changed my destiny, I mean it. I know it, and you can do it for someone else. That's the point of this summit today. This summit, the third quarter summit, the third summit that we've had, is all about mentoring and is all about mental health. And when I seen the statistic of 51% of young people under the age of 18 have attempted, no, I'm sorry, not 51%, 51% increase of attempted suicide rates over the last year and a half because, well, things are tough. So parents, mentors, everyone that's involved with young people, take a moment to realize that the young people are going through a lot too. Take 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes to get involved, to have a conversation with your kids, the kids that you mentor, the kids down the street. I don't care who they are. Just have an open, real conversation. And again, as I said before, if that's just not you, you're going, look, Sensei Dave, I get it. It's just not something I'm going to do. I don't feel comfortable with teenagers. I don't feel comfortable with kids. I don't feel intrinsically motivated to do this. All right. Don't. But do get involved. Do donate. Do something. And as I hear all of the speakers speak today, which I'm so grateful for, I'm so thankful that they've come on and bestowed their hundreds of years of knowledge and experience. The one thing that resonates with me today is do. You do. It's as simple as that. That's your aha moment today. You do. Whatever you feel your heart is telling you to do, whatever you feel intrinsically motivated to do, whatever God, Allah, whatever the universe is telling you, you probably should do it. If you visit the summit page, www.summitevents.world, all the speakers' links to their organizations are there. Donate to their organization or donate to the next summit. The summit donation link is at the bottom of the summit page. Just do. So right now, without further ado, I'm going to bring all the speakers on and we're going to have a quick panel discussion. I want to ask 2 or 3 questions. So if you have a couple of questions right now, I want you to put them in the chat and we will ask the speakers the questions. So without further ado, let's bring Dr. Cannoli, Mr. Nelson, Julian, Dr. DiGuillermo, all back on. Unfortunately, Mr. Scheer, Rob, is in New York, so he had to record a video and send it. He said, hey, if you want me there, I can be there at the beginning. I'll do the live. And I said, no, just send me something, whatever you feel right to do. Send it to me. He had to go to New York for a movie. So he is going to be in a movie. He's going to have a movie made of his life, his story. And I'm pretty proud and happy for him and just proud to consider him a friend of mine. So, yeah. Thank you, speakers. Thank you, Julian, for co-host. I can't thank you enough. Really, I can't. I hope that this is a long friendship that we have in front of us, all of us, and I mean that. Any of you speakers want to bring a topic up for the panel before we start asking the viewers questions? Anyone want to bring something up? Alibis? Anything? Chirp, 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 chirp. Okay, so first question is, how do I get my teen to listen? Right? Parent, I won't name the parent, says, how in the world do I get my teen to listen? So I'm going to puck this over to Dr. DiGuillermo, because you are a therapist and you work with teens as well as parents. So you probably have the most insightful information right now. Am I wrong?
You've got to listen. You've got to listen to them first. You've got to listen to them. If they're going to listen to you, you've got to listen to them. You've got to take time to develop the relationship with them. You've got to learn what their interests are, what their hopes are, what their concerns are, what their fears are. You've got to learn to develop a relationship with them. You can't expect a child to listen to you if your ears are turned off on them, if you've never really developed a relationship, if you've not sat next to them and read books with them or done puzzles with them or go for a walk or play basketball or cook together. Why should they listen to you? Why should they listen to you? If you've never given them time a day and all you're doing is just doing this at them, why should they listen to you? It's about relationships. It's about time.
I agree 100%. In my experience, unfortunately, parents don't realize that there's some sort of line in the age there where they're not kids anymore. They're not babies, where they need that nurturing, they need that guidance, they need you to feed them, they need you to walk them across the street. At some point, 12, 13, 11, they don't need you anymore. Not for everything. Certainly not to spoon feed them. And parents, and I'm sure you've seen this, correct me if I'm wrong, seem to struggle with that kind of independence that kids will have. They're going to have their independence. They are growing up and they're going to have it. Whether or not you're on the train with them or not is up to you. Am I wrong?
You're absolutely right. Absolutely right.
Anyone else? Any input? Mr. Nelson?
No, just one quick comment. It was interesting. Oftentimes when I would talk to the young men that were in the juvenile justice boarding school, it was the parental delinquency that led to the juvenile delinquency. And the bottom line was, this young man, and it was a boys' school, and you just get to know them, and it was evident that they didn't need to be fixed. They needed that guidance, the mentorship, the youth leadership that we've been talking about today. But then they would say, because of what I am doing, now I'm almost. My family says you're too good for us now. So really, the variable that they had to deal with, the opposition, came from the home. And so I'll just make that point. There was a pattern that led to those children. They made the decision, but certainly parents, even though you're not saying it, they're watching what you do. They're watching that girlfriend, that boyfriend, and you're speaking very loudly through your actions, and then your kids will respond one way or the other.
That's so true. I've had so many kids come through my home as teenagers. I remember an instance where we had 3 high school seniors in our home. Only one of them was ours. 2 of them were homeless because they had been abused from their family and kicked out. And they were on 3 different paths when they came to our house. And the 2 that came to us were products of their environment, so to speak. Children mimic what they see, what they learn, what they hear in their house. I'm conscious of the fact that there are children always watching me and always listening to me. I learned a long time ago that for some kids that come through my home, I'm an example, and maybe their only example, of what a father and a husband might be for these boys and these girls. For the boys in my house, I'm an example of how to treat my spouse, my wife, my daughters. For the girls, I'm an example of how one should treat these girls, how the girls should be treated by that way. So, they're always watching us, always listening to us. So many kids don't have that type of role model in their life, a positive one. They have a negative role model in their life. Again, I go back to the statistic earlier, 5 million children experience domestic violence inside their home. And most likely, these children are going to end up the same way. They're going to become the abuser because they have been abused. They're going to become incarcerated because that was their norm, if you will.
Yeah.
It's this generational thing, sadly, for so many of them.
I personally am a victim of that. I watched my stepfather beat my mother consistently. I was beaten by him consistently. And when I was married, I thought that was normal. I thought when you got upset and argued, you should fist fight. And so did my ex-wife.
Right.
That's what we were taught. That's what we grew up with. So isn't that normal? Doesn't everyone do that? When you get upset and you don't like something, you push, shove, yell, scream, cuss, say bad things. That's normal, right?
That's your norm.
Absolutely. Julian, you had something, huh?
Well, just a little point I want to say is everyone, no matter who they are, not their age or their backgrounds, everyone needs to feel loved and feel like they are enough. So no matter, and teenagers sometimes they're stepping into the adult world without having the tools to do it emotionally. So they protect themselves. And so knowing beyond the fact that they need that love, they need to know that they are enough. It's just a question of finding the right angle to communicate it to them. So don't give up. Don't give up until you get that right form of communication, because it's just a question of time. And not receiving that love, not receiving a sense of I am loved, I am enough, is catastrophic. The speakers today beautifully explained just what can happen. So definitely do not give up on your approach to communicating with your teenager.
I agree.
So,
100%.
so I think one thing that I remember, maybe a couple of years, Harvard University did some work where they found that the number one way that people felt loved is by listening. And so maybe your teenager is not listening because they don't feel loved.
Right.
And also in listening, I like what Dr. DiGiamo said. I hope I said your name well.
DiGiamo, thank you, ma'am.
Okay. Was that people do what people see.
Right.
And so if your way of listening is divided listening, what I mean by that is they're talking, you're on your phone, or you begin saying, yeah, I know, or you're doing something else, then they are going to that's exactly what they will do. There are different levels of listening. There are 5 levels. The one that we really need to develop is empathic listening or empathetic listening. And that needs you to, and that level of listening is so deliberate that you would have to lay aside everything that would prevent you from listening or make you seem like you are listening when you're not. It is really taking the time to be in that moment. And I think because of the way we live our lives these days, always going somewhere, rushing somewhere, needing to be at a particular place, we don't get to develop empathic listening. Empathic or empathetic listening has been the number one way that women leaders of nations have been the most successful in 2020, leading in the global pandemic. New Zealand, China, Iceland, Tanzania, Barbados, all these nations led by women have done seemingly a much better job at leading during this global pandemic. But that is because they have literally been deliberate in employing empathic listening. Yeah.
So you're saying that women are better than men. We
No,
all
that
agree.
is not
No,
what I'm
we
saying.
agree.
I
We
am
know we're
saying
old.
that
We
if
know.
we can employ
We know this.
empathic listening,
Dr.
I
Canoli,
I
we
note how I'm
know this.
outnumbered here, but the
No.
principle still remains. So
No,
yeah, so
those are amazing points.
yeah.
Empathic listening. It's funny. I did a video for Instagram and TikTok today on that exact topic about actually the topic was arguing. And if
Mhm.
you're arguing with your teen and your teen is arguing with you, then someone's trying to prove a point. And if you're trying to prove a point, someone has to be on top and someone has to be on bottom. Someone wins and someone loses. Well, I don't raise losers, right? I don't want my kids to lose in their own house. What sense does that make? So why can't we just talk about it? Like
Or
actually have a conversation about it, right?
so why not look at it as winning and losing? What about making room for one another to share
Right.
their view while
Yeah.
someone else listens without thinking of defending what they believe, or just being in that moment. I don't have to literally agree with everything that you say, but I can make room for you to say what you need to say. And that's just a level of respect, which I think a lot of teens and parents or those who lead them say they would like to be respected. So, how about we just make room for everyone to, say what they would like to say, and then then I can also say what I have got to say.
Absolutely. Yep. Absolutely. It's not an
That's really
argument, it's a
arguing.
conversation. So, moving on to the next topic, Rich Mullins. In a digital world where young people know more than parents about the tech and platforms for connecting, how do we safeguard and guide them through the new and evolving challenges of predatory behavior, fake news? Yeah. Just bad stuff, bad stuff all over the internet. How do we control the internet, right? I'll say we don't. We don't. We can't. I would say that you want to instill the intrinsic desire for your young person to not ... right? To educate him or her, to ensure that they know what fake news is, that there are predators out there, that there are scammers out there, that these things exist. Having that very candid conversation with him or her, and trying to instill just the behavior that we want, hopefully the right behavior, the positive behavior, the desire to not whatever, right? What do you guys think? What other ways can parents or mentors or neighbors help teens in not being a victim of the digital age?
Well, I'll start. I wrote a book on it actually, and then I got to get
Oh.
ready. I got to take off because I got to get a daughter ready for homecoming dance. Yeah, I wrote one of my books is called "Keeping Foster Children Safe Online," but it's for all parents. You know, we as parents have to monitor this. We have to, that the truth is this: there are children, there are predators out there who are trying to form relationships with our children on a daily basis, looking for those most vulnerable children. Children go online looking for many children. Those children who are most vulnerable go online looking for acceptance, looking for someone to love them, looking for someone to make them feel normal. Okay, and the predators recognize that and they're looking for that. So we as parents have to go through our one of the things that we do is we look through the children's phones to see who's contacting our child, who our child is speaking to, what games they're playing, because there are games that predators play alongside them, what videos they're watching. And we do that in order to protect our child. Some people might say, you know what, you're invading your child's privacy. That's hogwash. That's ridiculous. We're protecting the child. Because if I'm not going to see who's talking to my child, who's reaching out to my child, who's developing a relationship with my child online, if I'm not going to see that, then who is? It's going to be too late. Of course, you can do apps as well. For those older children, we need to make sure that they recognize the dangers of online sexting, if you will, because they could become registered sexual predators at a certain age if they do this or that online. That's very important that they recognize those realities instead of them saying, I didn't know I couldn't do that. I'm sorry, you're of age. You should have known beforehand. There are some things that we have to do on a regular basis. I have a rule for this. For my young kids, I wouldn't even consider giving my child a cell phone unless they're at least 13 years of age. We all know the cortex is not developed at a certain age, right? Some people say it's 25. Some people say it's 30 right now because of this. Wow. So there's no way a 13-year-old or 12-year-old is developed enough and mature enough and responsible enough to navigate all the dangers on here. So we're not going to get them a phone to begin with until they're a certain age or a certain maturity. And then we tell them this: you will have no friends on TikTok or on social media. You're going to have no friends on social media unless you know that person and I know that person. No child needs to have 1,000 friends online. If we just say 10% of those friends are dangerous people, that's a lot right there. So there's a few things we need to do. We need to monitor, we need to teach, we need to instruct, and we need to supervise. And with that, I've got to get a child ready for homecoming dance. So
before you drop off, where can everyone find your book?
Oh, thanks for asking. If you go to the Foster Care Institute online, the Foster Care Institute, or look for Dr. John DeGarmo, Foster Care Expert, you can find the book right there.
Awesome.
And it's a book not necessarily for kids in foster care. It's for anybody who's a caregiver or caretaker of children.
Awesome. Perfect. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for sharing your knowledge, expertise, and heart. All right. Thanks, Dr. John.
Thank you, everybody.
We'll talk later. Ciao, ciao. Well, with that, we can wrap up. I don't see any more comments. Any alibis from yourself? Oh, please, yeah. Julian.
If I can say a quick something to your question, Rich. I always remind myself the hardest fish to catch is the one who's not hungry. So the reason that kids get sometimes in trouble, the reason why teenagers get into these addictions or maybe into these dark places is because one of their needs may not be met. It's crazy how far a kid will go for need of acceptance. It's crazy. So if you can make sure that those needs of love, needs of acceptance are being met in a safe environment, then they won't feel the need to go look for them elsewhere.
Agree. Yep. Dr. Canoli?
So just a couple of thoughts. In this age of information, your ignorance is your decision.
Okay.
Right? So using the opportunity to learn more about the technology with your daughter or your son is a great opportunity for you to get to know them. You get to learn, and maybe for once you get to not be talking, you know. Um, but I don't think that we can continue to say that the youth know more. That might be true, but we can learn as well. So, how are you ensuring that you are learning? It might even look like going uh, to said to do to do different events with them where you both get to learn at the same time. Okay, so that's number one. Uh, there's so many ways to learn about this. The other thing is, um, old school, maybe if I'm paying for the bill, I get to know what's happening. Right? Um, and and I and I think that it is you being responsible for what is out there. Um, and so that's the second thing that I would say. And the last thing that I would share is that to lead the youth well, let us learn to listen well, let us learn well, so that we can lead well. Yeah.
Absolutely. I agree. I
Just
agree.
very quickly on my end, when one mentors, two people learn, and it's the same thing with parenting. Authentic relationships where we can truly have those open and honest conversations. And the way Rich framed the question, and I would just again to Julian's point, and Dr. Canoli's point, don't frame it as if you are okay. Since I don't know, then I need some help. No, it's a matter of build those authentic relationships, recognize and let your kids know. I let my kids know we can talk about anything, and so you establish a landscape or an environment where okay, we can go ahead and learn and listen together. And there are things out there that I may not be aware of, you may be aware of, but technology is all around us, folks. Look at us today, virtually in Greece. My point is mentoring, the foundation of a healthy relationship, a two-way street, and we can learn together.
I resonate with that wholeheartedly. I think that the parenting style of do it my way, this is my house, my rules go, don't really work. I think that sitting down and saying, this is why I'm going to install this app on the phone that I purchased for you. There are bad things out there. I would like to ensure that you are being safe. I would want to know if something is going on that could lead you into harm. Having that dialogue with your teen, I think, will go such a long way. I certainly did with my kids, although my kids are older now. They're 25 and 26. So actually, they're older than you, Julian. My goodness, I'm almost as old as Gail. Oh, you know what? I am so happy that we did this. I'm so happy that you guys all felt like you should be involved. I sincerely mean that. I'm glad that everyone came, they watched, they asked questions. Before we go, I would like Dr. Canoli, you go first. Just a parting word, and where can everyone find you? Oh, I think you're on mute.
Thank you. Parting word. I think for the youth and for the parents or anybody, let us begin to look at what can be rather than what is not. I think having that mindset is really revolutionary. And then make room for the teens to lead, for the youth to lead, for parents to lead. And let us not look at what has gone wrong unless we want to unless we want to use a lesson that is going to help us move on. That would be one thing that I would say. Parting words, I would say, don't let anybody tell you that you cannot do anything. Make room. It might not look like anything that has been done before, but go on right ahead and do you.
I love it. Mr. Nelson, how about yourself, sir?
I'll be very quick. I alluded to it earlier that the cost of doing nothing is far too high. But in order to be ready, you got to stay ready, and you don't have to get ready. So again, as you think about just your own personal journey, your own personal story, as Rob said, we all have a story. We all have gone through something. I tell people all the time, and I'm not a weatherman, but in the context of weather, some are in the midst of a storm, some are headed for a storm, or some are coming out of a storm. But we all go through some tough times. How we deal with it, and how we deal with it is up to us. Because in the game of life, everybody makes the team, but how we play is up to us. So stay ready, and you don't have to get ready.
I love it. I love it. Stay ready so you don't have to get ready. Julian, thank you for being here. Any parting words?
Well, what I want to share is what's of my long life, obviously, has been the theme. It's never been this very smart, conscious thing, but I've always known, and it's something clear, but it's in the moment of our decisions that our destiny is shaped. And those decisions are every day. If every day we keep a 1 degree angle, it might not make a difference, but in a year the curve will be tremendous. And that could be the case for your son, for your daughter, for the teenagers in your lives. That was the case for me. That was the case for all of us speakers here.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Oh, I love it. With that, I want to say thank you to all of you again. I appreciate it. Everyone that's still here, still plummeting through the 2 hours and 13 minutes that we've been going. This has been incredible. There has been so much knowledge here that has been shared that you can go and apply to your life, or your teens' life, or the teens that you're mentoring's lives, or to the neighbors' teens or kids' lives. A lot of information. So I hope you took notes. Thank you. Just thank you for being here. Thank you for letting us help you change the future of somebody, or even your own. I'll say that I have a program that you guys can go and check out. It's down at the bottom of the screen there. All the speakers' links are on the summit page. So please, whatever you feel in your heart to do, go do. If it's acquire more knowledge, if it's give, if it's one-on-one coaching, whatever you feel intrinsically motivated to do, I ask you to just do, because without action, there's nothing. The end. You can be the most brilliant person on this planet. You can be the best innovator in the world. But if you do nothing, it is nothing. The end. Just the truth. Okay. Bye, everybody. Mwah. Thank you, guys. Thank you, everybody. Bye-bye. Ciao, ciao.